No mightier cosh exists in the uncivil warfare of raw American politics than ordering the president to answer questions that he most ardently wishes to avoid. That is the prospect unnerving Donald Trump and his allies, as Robert Mueller, the special counsel leading the inquiry into the Trump team's dealings with Russia before 2016, intensifies. The president's fury, unbridled at the best of times, has boiled over in the past few days with a fresh crop of tweets, using capital letters as defensive artillery. "I hereby demand," begins one, "modesty not being in great supply." Another denounces a witch hunt composed of 13 angry and heavily conflicted Democrats, a reference to the political affiliations of Mueller's team, for all their grim excitement unleashed lately by Stormy Daniels, the president's potential porn star nemesis. The tentacles of the Russian saga have the greater chance of corroding a chaotic, but tough-to-budge presidency. Dealing badly and dishonestly with inconvenient past liaisons is a shabby character trait. Yet Democrats can hardly overlook the fact that it is one shared by Bill Clinton, who nonetheless kept the support of progressives. Hurricane Stormy looks, for now, more like another sleazy embarrassment than an imminent political fatality. And McAvoy, the tussle over the range of the Russia inquiry and the terms on which the president will be forced to engage with it matter more. They are fast coalescing into the dramatic centerpiece of Trump's first term. Indeed, the volatile karma of the White House is affected on a daily basis by whether Mueller is suffering setbacks, recent legal challenges to its scope and how far its powers extend into investigating family and political friends of Trump, or nearing his strategic aim of securing the cooperation of an unwilling president. The pace, invective and legal wrestling is reaching fever pitch because Mueller is anxious to finish his inquiry by summer, an aim which adds pressure on the delayed Trump visit to Britain, scheduled for July 13. The Trump visit is awkward optics for Theresa May but a defensible invitation. It seeks to bind an unreliable partner into solid NATO commitments and nudge along the never-ready US-UK post-Brexit trade deal. And while there is never an easy time for a drop-by from the most divisive figure in global politics, the PM inter-officials are devoutly hoping that the Trump ushered into number 10 is in as calm a mood as the great noisemaker can be. As someone close to the visit planning shudders, they hope for a genial Shrek, but fear the imminent timing of the Mueller report might end up with the UK hosting the full ogre. There's not enough chamomile tea in the world for that. Mueller's investigation is a legitimate one, given the evidence of intended Kremlin manipulation and unwisdom of the pre-election Trump squad and business allies in dealings with Russian designates. But it does have weaknesses, which need to be mitigated as far as possible to avoid deepening the corrosive partisanship of the Trump era. 1. As Trump's attorney, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, points out, is that its potential scope is dizzyingly wide, which leads to a perception among Trump supporters that it is a come-and-get-him opportunity for political foes. This unwieldy bread follows from the precedent, established in the Kenneth Starr investigation into Bill Clinton's personal conduct and ramifications in the late 90s. But Mueller's team is also heavily comprised of Democrats or Democratic donors. Mueller, however, is a registered Republican. He must then take extra care to avoid the impression that his inquiry is timed to affect November midterm campaigning, which in effect begins straight after the summer break. The PM will hope that Trump ushered into number 10 is in as calm a mood as the great noisemaker can be. Trump has little practical choice but to answer questions about his campaign staff's links to Russia or face the humiliation of a subpoena, which would be risky to contest. This week he is bargaining over how much disclosure will be made of the source of FBI information from inside the election campaign. But when the delaying tactics run out, the president faces an awkward precedent reaching back to the internecine strife of Hamilton, the sequel. In 1807, a Chief Justice sought to subpoena Thomas Jefferson in the trial of Aaron Burr for treason. Jefferson resisted, on the Mark Zuckerberg-ish grounds that he was too busy to travel from Washington to Richmond. Notwithstanding Trumpian chutzpah, a diary-related get-out is not likely to pass muster in 2018. Jefferson never did appear, but the case provided a precedent that the presidency was subject to subpoena. Several subsequent incumbents have reluctantly provided testimony in legal cases or inquiries. Dragging out the inevitable on that score did not help Clinton, who ended up submitting to a grilling on sexual harassment in the Paula Jones civil suit in a lengthier encounter with Starr. Today, the Trump presidency prides itself on exceptionalism, but it cannot simply defy the grinding wheels of inquiries. The best strategy for the Trump legal team is either to delay the report with legal tripwires that would prevent its conclusions being published until after November. That just extends the agony. More likely, as Giuliani, a pragmatist, for all his loyalty to Trump, suggested at the weekend, it is a hard bargain over the scope of testimony that the president is asked to deliver, short of the humiliation of subpoena and even messier consequences. Already, charges against his former campaign manager Paul Manafort, related to his business dealings with Ukraine, make it likely that former allies will plea bargain to decrease exposure to jail sentences. So beyond the daily dramas, delays and diversions, America's leader is facing an inconvenient fact. The Mueller investigation, warts and all, requires more of a response from the president than big capital tweeting about it. Ann McElvoy is senior editor of The Economist.